Hello. Hello. Today's mission is I'm headed down to the south end of the island, and I'm gonna take the drone out and do a video update on the progress at Caxambas Park, where they're doing the boat ramps, really the entire park. Beautiful day, probably hovering in the upper 80s. Lower humidity on Marco Island. Great day for a bike ride. But I'm going to turn the camera around. And let you guys see Marco Island and not have to look at me. So let me adjust the camera, put it down on the bike, and we'll go for a ride. I'm going to ramble while we're doing this ride and talk about anything I see and a couple other things that I wanted to mention. First of all, I just got my bike tuned up and took it up to Island Bike Works in Bokeelia, Florida, which is about an hour and 15 minutes from here. The reason I went there is a couple years ago, I went up there to get some spokes for my bike because they had e-bike spokes there. It's a regular bike shop, but they sell a lot of e-bikes. They stick to a couple brands. When I got there a couple years ago, found out the owner has the same bike that I've got right here, my Juice Bikes Recurrent S. I'm gonna go straight to Collier here. And so we kind of hit it off. So I've been meaning to get up there and just do a tune-up on my bike. It was a good thing I did. So I went up there about a week ago. Judd took a look at it over the period of lunch, and they right across the street, they got a fantastic lunch spot. And they said, yeah, he goes, I'll have it done by the time you're done eating. And he pretty much did. I told him initially, I said, I pedal the bike 99.9% of the time and just use the pedal assist. I don't use the throttle hardly at all. When I came back, he said, yeah, I could tell that you pedal a lot because your chain was stretched out beyond it needed to be replaced, and also the bearings in my pedals were worn out. To be honest, I didn't really notice either, but I don't have the knowledge to really discern that when I'm riding my bike. And it was very advantageous. Then he went over the whole bike, adjusted the brakes, ground off the brake pads to refresh them, adjusted the brakes, gave the bike a complete wipe down, lubed everything. The chain didn't need clean because obviously it was a new chain, as I said, and came out of there. I think it cost me, with the chain replacement and the new pedals and then the full tune-up, I think it was $137, maybe $134. Great price. This bike is 6 years old, and I've thought about replacing it, but then I'm like, why replace a great bike with another great bike? So I'm just sticking with my Rip Current S until something drastically goes wrong. So I just went over the North Collier Bridge by the Esplanade, and one of the things I'm going to do on this ride is I'm going to, I always do it. I always say good morning or good afternoon or hey, how you doing, to see if people respond to me. I'll do that during the season, and then I'll do it during the off season, see if there's any difference. So maybe I'll try that a little bit while I've got the camera going. So it's September on Marco Island, and it's not deserted, but Marco is empty. There's not a lot of visitors. So much so where yesterday I had lunch with a friend, and he has some insight to the occupancy at the JW Marriott, which is the most popular hotel on the island. Very high end. Normally they run like a 90 plus occupancy rate, and I think they were down more towards 20, but just for this week, he said. So ironically, I've also got some friends on the island celebrating their anniversary. So I got a text after lunch and he said, hey, why don't you come over to the JW Marriott? We're at the pool hanging out. So I went over there just to talk to them for a little while. And while I was there, I noticed the pool, and I've stayed at the JW before in the past for some business events. Pool's always packed, their main pool on the south. I bet the chairs, and this was right after lunch, I bet the chairs were 70% empty. You could do whatever you wanted, sit wherever you want, get all the shade you want, and that was pretty nice. Which means you could also get into Quinn's and all the other restaurants easily as well. To be honest, I think this is a really good week to get down here to Marco Island. The weather's beautiful. Now, yeah, it's hurricane season, technically at the end of hurricane season, and I'm gonna back up for these people and let these guys go. Come on by. Yeah, it is that one. Have a good one. There we go. So great time. The restaurants, you don't need any reservations to get into places. It is hurricane season technically towards the end of it, but you know, it's raining a little bit, maybe in the afternoon. It does cloud up, but I would say over the last couple of weeks, the weather has been mostly sunny, even though your weather forecast will say showers and thunderstorms. But you can see how it is now. There's a few clouds in the sky. In the afternoon, it'll darken up a little bit. Anyway, weather's been great. If you want to navigate the island well and not have to worry about reservations or doing any of that stuff like you do during the season, now's the time. So I've been riding my bike since it got tuned up and extremely happy with it. I don't know that I can notice the new chain or not, but I can definitely tell the difference in the pedals. Really nice. Coming up, you can see that tall building on the right-hand side. Coming up, that's Golf View. They've painted that. Well, actually, they've done a lot of renovations on it. And they power washed, or I'm sorry, I'm sure they power washed it, but they sandblasted the whole damn thing. And they're painting it now, the exterior, and it's mostly white on the balconies with a few vertical navy blue stripes going up and down the building. It looks awesome. It gave that building such a modern look. Not that it was bad before, but it just really looks nice. My understanding is they're doing a lot of work inside as well. Some comments online when I flew the drone around it because the other side is still bare and then this side is done. So I flew the drone around it for a comparison video on the before and after, and put it up on the Facebook, some of the Marco Island Facebook pages, and some people with evidently some knowledge, or their owners there, said it is over budget, but you know, most things do go over budget, right? I just don't know by how much, but beautiful building. Coming up on Residence Beach. Residence Beach is another one that has been not empty, but not only can you get parking, but you can get the good spots, which means the restaurant there, the cafe, is the line will be a lot less. Also, a few weeks back I did a video on the beach there, and there was nobody in line at the concessions. So I'm looking over there now, and there's probably, I don't know, 50 cars over there. Another good reason why it's a good time to come to Marco now. I'm at the corner of Collier and San Marco. road. And let me hit the crosswalk here. So I don't know if you can see how dark the street is. They just repaved this intersection, and then both the north and southbound lanes for, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile. So I've passed, what, a couple bikers now, and I'm probably a mile and a half down Collier. I mean, this is just, now during the season, right, there'll be people up and down both sides on the shared use path. You have to go to the side or stop or go around the strollers and this and that. Again, another great reason to come to Marco this time of year. How you doing? Thank you. So I had to park at the JW yesterday because I couldn't find any side parking. So I had to actually go into the lot. And the parking, if you're like just a guest and don't do anything at all, it's $38. And I thought, holy cow. Now, I asked the lady, hello, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I asked the lady at the booth, I said, hey, come in here and meet some friends. You know, can I get my ticket validated? What? She said, yeah, go to the front desk, get it validated. And if you get it validated, then it's $18 instead of $38, I believe it is. So I go to the front desk, they're like, no, we don't do that. You have to get it validated at one of the restaurants. So if you eat there, then they'll validate. So I thought, wow, that's kind of a lot. But they should really have seasonal rates and non-seasonal rates. Anyway, so we had a drink at the pool and got the ticket validated, so it was only 18 bucks. Interesting story. Yesterday morning was at Dunkin' Donuts with my neighbor Neil and I, and you know Neil a little bit from this channel maybe. He helps me out. He's my stunt driver when I have to do the drone videos and drive the car at the same time. So Neil and I were at Dunkin' Donuts, and there's a friend we've sort of met and become friendly with over the course of the last couple of years, and they work at the JW, and they were at a reception at 10K Alley, just a little party, because one of the chefs there at the Marriott won a competition, and the competition was amongst all of the chefs within the Marriott organization nationwide. And it was, I believe it was like a Chilean sea bass or something that she won with, but she was the winner for the dish. And it's one of those contests where it's kind of like Chopped or whatever it is on TV, and you don't know what the ingredients are that they're going to give you until they give them to you, and then you have to cook the dish. And it's got different levels. It's not just like a weekend event, and it's a pretty big thing. And the chef, one of the chefs at the JW Marriott here in Mark Weiland, won the entire competition for all of the Marriott organization. I thought that was really cool. So they had a cake for her and this and that. And I asked, I said, so, and I believe it was Chilean sea bass. I said, so is that sea bass on the menu now? Because you would think if that chef won the competition for the entire Marriott organization, whatever they won it with would probably make the menu. And she said, I don't think so, but it was the first time that chef had prepared Chilean sea bass, because again, it's they don't know what they're gonna have to cook before they're given the ingredients and told what they have to work with. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if that did make the menu at some point. All right, I'm at Winterberry and Collier. There's Marco Active here's on my left, a really good pickleball store. Dave is in there. Him and his family own it, him and his wife, and originally from Chicago, Illinois. But they also own Beach Daisy, which is a clothing store down the block, down the street on Collier as well. Anyway, great family business, extremely helpful. And if you're ever shopping for pickleball paddles, they have a huge selection there, and it's you can rent them out. You can get like 2 or 3 paddles or whatever for a small charge, and then whatever that charge is, they'll give you credit if you actually buy anything at the store. So great shop, good people. Turtle parking. And the Turtle parking lot is probably a third of the way full. Another great reason to come to Marco this time of year. Okay, south of Marco, south of Winterberry, Marco really starts slowing down. And I don't think I've passed anybody other than those people on the bikes at the bridge. And you can see all the way down to the south end, and nothing. Most people know they installed a new crosswalk system at the beach access point at South Beach. You can see those flashing lights up there. Cape Marco in the foreground. Now, this is going to be a self-promotion plug, but the next building on my left is called Seaview Condominiums, and we actually own a condo there. That's how we started on Marco. And I'll show it to you right here. You have the unit there at the end, and we're the next one in. But the good thing about that location is, right over there, caddy corner, is the South Beach entrance. And so you can't get any closer to the South Beach entrance or beach entrance without actually being on the beach and owning or renting one of those condos. So if you're ever looking to come to Marco and you need a place and you don't want to have to walk longer than a minute and a half with a wagon to get to the beach, you can go to my website, evolutionarytom.com, and up there one of the headers says rent our condo. So, and I'm gonna go all the way around today just because it's a great ride. Going on my way to Caxambas Park, I'm gonna go the full length of Collier, because this row of condos down here is probably is very scenic. Just a beautiful area. It gets quiet down here. It's just really, really nice. Every place on Marco is a great place to go for a walk, do whatever, but this one is just really, really pretty. The trees are nice. Although when the storm comes and you start getting water, this area probably gets the water first. But the buildings, or most of the buildings at least, over the years they've accommodated for that. Ours, for example, was complete during Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Ian, completely surrounded by water. It's one of the highest water type events that they've had. I thought for sure the first floor was going to be flooded and we were going to have damage and this and that. And they have swales that go around the building. The parking lot was full of water. It almost made it up to the pool, which was elevated, but that swale prevented any water from getting into the first floor. All of the first floor units were safe and dry. It was amazing. I thought going down there the next day after the hurricane left that I was just going to come to, a soggy unit, but turns out it's fantastic. So Anyway, a lot of the buildings down here, either the first floor is all parking. There's some that aren't anymore and they got flooded out, but anyhow. Somebody with a surfboard on top car, and I think that was for looks because there's not a lot of surfing here, Marco Island. When there's storms come, you'll see surfers out there on the beach. It's kind of crazy because the water gets really turbulent, but really it's the only time that there's waves here. Other than that, there's really no surfing. One of the things I was looking for Judd at Island Bike Works to see if he could address was, and you might hear it a little bit in this video, was I got like this creaking in the front end of the bike. It turns out it's my fork, and my fork has still got some life left in it, so I chose not to replace it because just a little bit of creaking, I can kind of put up with that, and then at some point later I'll probably ask him to replace the fork. So now I'm going to cross over. And we're just about to Caxambas. Now Caxambas Park is closed, but I'm just going to park to the side of the driveway and I'm going to stay out of the no-go zone. I will put the drone up in the air and we'll fly over. It's Saturday here, by the way, just to sort of let you know. And you can see construction area, danger, keep out. Let's take a look over here. This evidently is a rendering of what it's going to look like when it's done. And it looks very similar to what it did before, but I can see the patio on the south end of the building is a little bit bigger. Looks like the boat ramps are pretty much exactly the same, so are the docks. And the seawall, so you can see there's a walkway around the south end of the seawall. And that goes all the way around now. Before, if I remember right, I think that stopped right at the concrete seawall. So, yeah, that's what that looks like. One thing I always do, since technically this is a commercial flight, is
approached edge of altitude zone.
I'll go into AirAware and check and make sure that it's clear for takeoff. No advisories.
Home point updated.
Commercial. So it says I can go up to 400 feet and I got 60 minutes, and it gives me a pretty large area here on the south end of the island. So that's notified.
Take off.
Here we go. All right, done flying Caxambas. Let this guy land. Get her packed up, be on my way. I'm headed up Swallow now, and instead of taking the back way home, I'm gonna go ahead and hit Collier and go north, stop and get something to drink along the way. So I'm not gonna make you watch me go up Collier again, since we just came down it. So I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even found it informative, and I'll see you in the next one.